Hello artists, and welcome to Creativity Time with Julia Major. Today we're going to be talking gum tape. So the first thing to know about gum tape is it's super important that you do not get any pieces wet that are not the pieces that you're actually using, which is why in our art studio we tend to have it on like a little spindle, like a round thing like you would keep CDs on. I don't have that here, so I'm just using a container, so you can use a container plate or something. But if you have your gum tape, it's really nice to keep it in something like this so that if there's some spill, you don't get the whole thing wet and ruin all of your gum tape. The water is what activates it, so the tape is almost between a tape and a glue. It's really strong, but there is a dry time. There's two main kinds of gum tape. Those that have sort of little threads inside of them and those that don't. The kind with the thread inside is a little bit stronger, but I actually prefer the kind that doesn't have that because the other thing that happens with the thread is it ends up wanting to keep a certain shape, so it's a little harder to control and get what you want out of it, and the kind without a thread is already quite strong. Also, the kind without a thread can be ripped by hand and the other kind can't. In both cases though, what I recommend doing for a nice clean piece of tape is to cut it. In fact, one of the tricks I'd say for gum tape is instead of trying to cut each piece individually to use, cut yourself out a nice big piece. That way, again, if there's some sort of spill, you're not going to ruin your whole gum tape. And it also is nice if you're sharing it with other people. That way you're just out of the way and it gives you more control. Once you have your gum tape cut, then you can cut smaller pieces for what you need. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the shiny side, which is the side that has the glue on it, and you're just going to brush it across the sponge, not dipping in the water because then you will lose too much of the glue. You're just going to brush it across the sponge. Wipe it across, get it nice and wet. And then I have here a cutting tab. And you can place it on top to tape it. But here's the extra trick. Use your nail, or you can also use a little bit of a scissors, and get in the crevice so it's really flush, which means like really sitting nicely on the cardboard. The other trick that I didn't do the best job of in this section actually is to have a little more tape than the item. So you don't want it just barely touching the item. You want it to have enough extra that it can be really nicely sitting there, nicely grounded. On the other hand, you do not want a huge piece of tape. So if I was taping this, I would not want to just go, oh, like I'll use this. That's not gonna be good. You're gonna get a big gap. It's not going to be nice. And if you sense that the tape is not working, you do not want to just go, oh, that didn't tape well, so I'll just keep putting it on, putting it on. It's not solving the problem. So if your tape isn't working, pull it up and make it nice and flush. And remember, just like glue, there's a little bit of a dry time, and some cardboard things are going to push up a little, so you may want to hold it for a little bit before you let go, depending on what you're doing. But I'm going to show you another little trick for that in a second to help so that things don't pop up. So for this cut and tab, you can see that's a place that got ripped before, so it's not quite as nice. But I'm using my nail. If you don't have as long of a nail, you can just use your scissor to get it on there nicely. If you want, you could then still put another piece overlapped like this. That's fine. Just don't place piece after piece, giant piece on there. So you can place it on top and overlap a little bit if you want. You don't want a ton of overlap, but a little bit is fine. And you can use your nails to get in there into the crevices to make it really nice and flush. What you do not want is to put pieces of tape on like this where there's big gaps and they are not really sticking to the cardboard. That's what you don't want. And then because this is cut and tab, I would do this end too. I can see that the one part is popping up a little, so I maybe should have held that a little bit longer. So that can be the tricky thing with gum tape, but also ultimately once it dries, it's super strong. So that is a nice part about it. But as I said, a little bit of layering is okay if you see it popping up in one place and you need to add some more. But don't do it if it doesn't look like that first piece of tape stuck at all. Only do it if there's some tension and you think it needs a little bit more help. So if you're doing a handle, we've discussed this a bit before, but I think it's extra important with gum tape. If you're doing a handle or tent or something, don't just try to have it like this with the piece of tape going like that. Instead, you want to make sure that you scored it here, and that's going to give less tension, which means that your gum tape is less likely to pop up. It's still going to have tension though, so as I said, you may want to hold it for a little bit, and you might actually want to hold one piece or have a friend hold a piece while you add the other piece so that it helps with the tension. In this case, I'd probably add a piece here, a piece there, piece there. You can also score with your finger here and there to get it to go in really nicely. And so see, I'm not doing this, I'm getting in that crevice. Really getting into the crevices is the biggest trick to gum tape. I can see there's still tension here though, so I would add another piece, which can get a little tricky, but if something pops up though, just do it again, not the end of the world. Sometimes it takes a few tries with gum tape. It's worth it though, because once it is dry, it is so strong. It can be painted over, it can be held upside down. This isn't even fully dry yet, and look, I can hold it upside down. But it will get a little bit stronger. Normal tape, as strong as it is in the beginning, that's as strong as it is, but with gum tape it gets stronger. So 2 other tricks. You can actually fold your tape before you get it wet. You can fold your tape so that it has a nice little crease that you can get in crevices, and then you'll wet it. And also you can tape things from the inside as well as the outside. So if you're still sensing there's tension, just tape on the inside and use that little crevice trick will help. So this would make this more strong now. Even when I'm saying these tricks, I'm like, it came up a little. Like, it's not ideal looking. I mean, it's there, but like, I just wish it's such a finicky beast. A lot of times people are tempted to try to get this nice and neatly flush here. If that happened, it would mean it was wet and sticky. It's gonna always stand out a little bit. That's okay. Just leave it alone. Always take from the outside and never from the inside, because that's gonna mess things up. So this is where you grab from, never this. Remember, do not get your roll of gum tape wet. Thank you for coming to Creativity Time with Julia Major. I hope you like, subscribe, and share with a friend. We will definitely be doing more cardboard art as well as other creative things. I hope you have a very colorful day.